And good morning. It's time now for the Community Profile program here on WLON, WCSL, and WOHS, and on the World Wide Web. You can watch at ktcbroadcasting.com. Milton Baker along with you, and co-host, executive producer of the show, Sandy Alexander, in the house. Good morning, Sandy.
Good morning, Milton.
And it's a cold good morning on this 7th of January. We've got, let's get the latest temperature update here. Right now, we're at 12 degrees.
12.
Heading for a big high of 24 today.
Oh, goodness.
We're going to double that 12 here before it's all over with.
Well, that makes us, to greet our visitor even more, that she came out in this frigid weather.
I know.
We are very pleased to have Brownie Plaster. She's the chairperson for the Destination Cleveland County. And I brought the newspaper with me from Sunday's edition about the Earl Scruggs Center opening. And I slowed down this morning and looked at the beautiful signs that are out there. So, Brownie, it's good to have you.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's really exciting.
Yeah,
I know it is.
Nice to have you with us. Nice to meet you.
Oh, it's great, and good to be on WOHS, simply because one time I asked Earl when he was here, I said, Earl, what radio station did you used to listen to? And he said, Brownie, he looked at me and said, we didn't have radios.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the only music they had was what they made, the families made. That really hit home with me. But one day, he came home from Lily Mill, and his mama said, Earl, listen what's on the radio. And it was WOHS. He didn't know Mama had gone out and bought a radio. This was in the 40s. And the first thing he heard turned out was a Don Gibson song.
Oh.
And when he was with Sons of the Soul. Isn't that cool?
That
That was a WOHS. It was
on
WOHS.
that's nice to know.
And in the center, y'all are going to love it when you come in the center because there's a great picture of the Sis Quartet. And there's a big WOHS microphone, and there's Hugh Dover, and we have one of your actual old microphones on display. So radio plays an important part because radio changed the world in the 30s.
Yeah.
Changed the world for all of us.
Oh, yes, it did.
So that's at the Earl Scruggs Center.
That's at the Earl Scruggs Center.
And so as we talked a little bit yesterday about the Earl Scruggs Center when Jackie Sibley was here, but we want to get a little more in depth. So as Jackie, reiterated to folks, it's Earl Scruggs Center is the name, but there's a lot there. Like you say, there's the radio.
We say we are celebrating the legacy of the man and the place that gave birth to his music.
Mm-hmm.
So he grew up here. He's one of us. He picked cotton. He worked in the mills. He struggled. He reinvented himself, and he was always an innovator. And we think that we in the Carolina foothills that we're pretty tough people too.
Mm-hmm.
We can be down, but we don't get out.
That's
and you and I
right.
were talking about faith earlier, Sandy, and we did a lot of studies around talking to people about what values they had, what they wanted to take forward in the future generations, and faith is very important to us. Family is very important, and friends. Of course, we like to cook and eat too. So anyway, but there are a lot of gatherings around those family meals. So it is a celebration of his life, his amazing life,
and he did. He did have an amazing life. The people he touched, and
it's Earl in the world.
That's it.
And one time I was privileged to be invited to his last birthday party. He used to have these huge birthday parties at his house, and they started on a 4:30 on a Sunday afternoon. Everybody brought him food, and we're standing in the kitchen, and then after you ate, then everybody would go in his living room and just sit in these picking circles and just play. And the last one that I was privileged to be there was Earl's last one. We didn't know, of course, at the time. And he sat in that picking circle for 3 hours. So when he died in March, we were just all shocked. But Jerry Douglas, y'all know Jerry Douglas with Allison Krauss. He told JT that night, JT Scruggs, Earl's nephew, said, if it weren't for Earl Scruggs, I'd be pumping gas. Earl was the most known in Nashville as the most accessible musician. He always had these guys come over, say, I'll help you, come on over, and we'll play together. They loved him. I mean, that night, Dierks Bentley was there. I mean, Sam Bush, all kinds of people. John McEwen had flown in from New York City just to be with Earl, so I just want to play with Earl. It's just amazing. And I think that this Remembering Earl event we're going to have that's already sold out, it's good and bad. Unfortunately, people can't get tickets, but fortunately, Sandy's crying. But fortunately, It is sold out, and it's going to be sort of the birthday party format. It's not really a concert, but it's going to truly be remembering Earl through music and stories. Travis Tritt, Sandy, you knows, has a great story
Oh,
about.
I love Travis Tritt.
Can I tell you that story?
Yes, tell me.
Okay, we met Travis Tritt, and he was saying, "I just love Earl Scruggs. He was so nice to me." And he said when he first went to Nashville, he had this long hair, and he was kind of a hippie type person and trying his luck. And he met Marty Stewart, and Marty's been at the Don Gibson 2 or 3 times, and he's great. Marty said one day he called Travis, said, "Get your guitar," and said, "We're gonna go over to Earl's house and pick." And he said, "Sure, I'll go." And so they're riding along, and down the big Franklin Pike and pull up to this house with this fence. You have to punch in the code to get into. And he said, "Where'd you say we were going?" And Marty said, "Oh, we're just going to Earl's." He said, "Well, who's Earl?" He said, "What's Earl Scruggs?" Travis said, "I got so nervous as we drove up the driveway." And he said, "I went in there and we became fast friends."
Yeah.
So, Travis adored Earl.
Yeah.
But Earl did. He always encouraged the young people. And let me show you how to do it, or encouraged them on their path. And that's a true gift to continue to be a teacher.
Yeah. So Earl Scruggs passed away this past 2013, and
it'll be in 12 because
in
it'll be 2
2012.
years in March.
Okay, it'll be 2 years this March. And so he knew then, obviously, about the work that's been in progress.
He did. He of course visited home a lot. His brother Horace. A lot of listeners will know Horace Scruggs. JT's father was Junie, and Junie Scruggs has been deceased for a long time. And JT has been on the development team for the Earl Scruggs Center and been a most valuable person. He was with PPG Industries, and to have that wonderful business mind to help us as we raise money and to talk to people, JT's been absolutely invaluable. But anyway, Earl would come home and visit Mayada and Horace out in Bowling Springs, and over the years. This is his home. He loved it.
Yeah.
And when we got started, JT went out there. We all went out. My first trip out to see Earl was 2006. When we got our ideas. Our building had been locked in 2004, and it had just been sitting there, and nobody was doing anything about it. And a bunch of citizens said, "Hey, what can we do?" We had a couple of vacant buildings around town. Well, we had several, but particularly, we turned the Don Gibson Theater with the same group that did the Don Gibson Theater.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we were out there in 2006, and then Earl came home. He came home for a first concert in 2007, which we had, and we called it Coming Home. And we had videographers. We've been using a videographer out of Nashville and Memphis, Tennessee. The film work in the center is gorgeous. You're going to love the intro film. It's wonderful. And they came. He came back several times. We have hundreds of hours of video with Earl. So he and his boys, Randy and Gary, have been most helpful. And then Gary's the elder son. He has helped us along the way. Lending artifacts, like when you visit the center, you can see the banjo that Earl learned to play on. That was his daddy's, and it used to be in the Grammy Museum in L.A. But Gary Scruggs said, let's move it from Los Angeles, from the Grammy Museum to the Earl Scruggs Center in Shelby, North Carolina. And that's going to be a jewel. And we had somebody come in the other day, and we have Horace's guitar on display. And the musician walked in and said, and he just got tears in his eyes. He said, "That's Horace's guitar." It was just, it's kind of like going to Mecca for instruments. But the center, when you walk in, there's a huge instrument case, and there are 2 of Earl's, 2 of his brothers, 2 of his sons, and 2 of his daddies. So that's, if nothing else, if you were an Earl Scruggs fan, you saw that, that'd be enough. But yeah, Earl's been here. He knew, he was so pleased, and of course we regret that he didn't live to see it open, because he kept saying, "You mean you're gonna let that beautiful building, be named for me?" He was just the
very
nicest, humblest man you'd ever meet.
No, that's okay.
I told Sandy I have too much chatter.
No, that's
shut
fine.
me up.
Hey, when we do interviews, we want people to talk.
Yeah.
We want people to talk. I was just going to say, so the center opens this Saturday, correct?
This Saturday is the grand opening, and it's exciting. We want everybody out there listening on the square. That's free. Get on the square. Actually, at 10 a.m. Well, Thursday night, you want to go down to the Don Gibson Theater and see Bonnie and Clyde. That'll be kind of fun.
Yeah,
And there are going to
that's-
be musicians all over Shelby playing on the street
sounds
Thursday
cool.
night. That's going to be cool. There's a window contest, a window decorating, so all the merchants have been going out getting their banjos and guitars, and the art gallery has paintings of banjo players and all kinds of good things. And I think JT is going to be the judge of the window contest, so don't anybody bribe JT. But anyway, that's Thursday night, and then starting Saturday morning, we have a new bookstore in Shelby, Fireside Books, and Dr. Ferris from Chapel Hill has a new book that he's going to be there doing book signings from 10 to 11, and then there'll be activities on the square from 11 to 2. Like there'll be a photo booth, and it's free, and you can go in and you can have your picture made, and you just like you take away, and it'll say Earl Scruggs Center grand opening, and it'll have your picture on it. So, and then we're having what we call a banjo petting zoo. We're going to put a tent up, and I don't know what day the tent goes up, but there'll be a 40 by 40 tent, and then the banjo petting zoo will be inside that, so people can pick up banjos, see how they feel. I didn't know how heavy they were.
Yeah.
I mean, those are heavy instruments.
Oh, okay.
And Jackie mentioned that yesterday. We both went banjo petting zoo. Now we
doesn't have
understand.
anything to do with animals.
No.
It's,
No,
it's all
it
about
doesn't.
banjos.
It doesn't. Just we want everybody to feel it and
Yeah.
to pluck that string. But anyway, the grand opening, I mean, the ribbon cutting is at 1. Anyway, it's going to be fun. There's going to be music on the square. Of course, Darren and Brooke Aldridge are so great.
Oh, we love
And
Brandon.
we love Darren and Brooke, and Darren and Brooke are going to be there, and other musicians. So it's just going to. We don't know. I mean, we've sold these tickets, like I say, in 13 states.
Wow.
We
Well,
have no
you
idea.
really don't know who's going to show up.
We have no idea who's going to show up. But Destination Cleveland County, our goal was to bring visitors to our county, and then to send them around the region, and to share our unique musical heritage and our unique story with the world.
Yeah.
So far, we've had people from South Africa. We've had 2 groups from Japan. We haven't even been open. Now, the Japanese group that was here in September, they're coming back in April with more Japanese. And the gentleman sent an email and said, "We love to feel your air here." Isn't that cute?
Oh, that's nice. I wonder if
Yeah.
it'd like it today.
Sandy, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wonder.
I don't know about that.
Well, that's amazing. That is really amazing. And so there is quite a musical history.
Oh, it's amazing. It truly is. When we did all our research, we tried to blend in all the threads of music, and the building looks large. It's a beautiful building. It's actually very small. You take out the old courtroom and the big hallways, and you put in the bathrooms and the elevator and the ADA. We have less than 5,000 square feet exhibit space. Building's about 10,000 square feet. So we realized we had to layer things in because it was so small. So one of the things we've done is really, really cool. It's called Common Threads. And it's think of an iPad table. Think of a table that you can walk up to. There are actually 24 plug-ins around it, 6 stations, so 4 people on a station. And you can pluck a string and another string, and where those strings intersect, let's say you plucked a string that said place, and you pluck a string that said instrument, and where those intersect, it's like 4 things pop up, and there'll be, it could be Snuffy Jenkins, it could be John D. Holman, it could be Elizabeth Cotton, it could be Doc Watson, it could be Earl Scruggs. There are just so many, there's so much music in there. Then if you touch, let's say if you touched even Don Gibson, you touched Don Gibson or Earl Scruggs, let's say Earl Scruggs, then 5 things pop up, and you can touch one of the 5 things. You can watch videos, interviews, hear music. I think we're going to have to put a timer on this table because there's just so much in there. There's shape note singing. Y'all know about shape note singing?
Oh, yeah, I do.
I bet you can sing. Can you sing shapes?
Yes.
Okay. So, there was a guy down in Spartanburg in 1834 who put shapes to the notes of Amazing Grace, and then he did the book Sacred Harmony. Anyway, and right now in America, there's a resurgence of shape note singing. But that's the basis of gospel harmony. And Ralph Stanley, Dr. Stanley says that's part of his tradition, is that singing of shapes. So in that table, I was standing there the other day playing with it, and I thought, oh my heavens, I'm watching a video of a singing school.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you said, hey, Brownie, what are you looking at? I said, here, Sandy, I can slide this image over to you and enlarge it. It is really cool. It's state of the art. There's only one other one that's in the George Bush Library, the new George Bush Library.
Mm-hmm.
My mother showed me shape notes when I was a little
Did
girl.
you? You know, my mother did too.
Well, I will have to go and learn about shape notes.
You'll
And I
have to-
memorized.
I do not
yeah.
know.
And then when I officially, I told you I mostly played by
Right.
ear, but I eventually went and took some music, and it was round notes then.
Uh-huh.
But I had already memorized
The shapes.
the shapes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So-
that is really neat. It would be cool if we'd have a singing school. I've tried it, and I've sung alto and choir for years, but I don't anymore. But I tried to go to a singing school, and I had a hard time with it. But there's still people around, and actually Lincoln County, if anybody's listening in Lincoln County, y'all are doing great because y'all are meeting once a month to sing shapes. We don't have a group in Cleveland County. Rutherford County has a group that sings shapes, but that's keeping that tradition alive.
Or maybe somebody's listening that can do that.
Oh, yeah, call us. We want the center to be a dynamic place.
Mm-hmm.
Always programming activities, children in. We did the whole year of 2007 of research on the two projects, on running a theater and running a museum. And like one of the things we heard, the word museum's dead. It sounds like, oh, yeah, dusty, dull, boring. So we're calling it a center.
Center.
And that's exactly what we want to be. And Gary Scruggs actually sent me an email yesterday, and he said, I'm so glad we decided to call it Center because Dad would have liked that. He liked to have things happening. He liked for things to be different. You know, he always pushed the envelope.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things in our film work, we have the top banjo players in the world talking about Earl's influence.
Mm-hmm.
And all these people say that he took his tradition and he ran with it. And that's what he did, and that's the story of the center is knowing who you are and being the best you can be.
Not long ago, when I go to nursing homes to play for them, I played the theme from Beverly Hillbillies.
Did you?
Now, of course, it sounded different on the piano, but
Still strings. It's
one
still
little
strings.
woman raised her hand. She said, "Earl Scruggs," and I said, "Well, he played, the Beverly Hillbillies theme, but and I know it sounded different on the piano, but." She got it right. I mean, it was the thing.
She knew the name.
She knew the name.
That's right. How about that? Yeah. We just, growing up in this area, we knew Earl Scruggs' name. We knew the name. Where folks in, Cleveland County, Shelby, Bowling Springs knew him. But it's amazing, as we talked yesterday and again here today, that his influence was so worldwide.
It is. We went down to Raleigh. Raleigh hosted the International Bluegrass Music Association annual convention this year. They left Nashville and came to Raleigh, which was really interesting. We had a booth, and we were there 3 days, like a trade show.
Mm-hmm.
I have pictures of people from Germany, Finland, Australia, New Zealand, all over the world. People are coming up to us and saying, we just can't believe Earl Scruggs is from your hometown. I mean, you're so lucky. Of course, he's really from Flint Hill. We all know he's from Flint Hill,
Okay.
and he never forgot that, which is just outside. But he's a Cleveland County boy.
Yeah.
But it is Earl in the world.
Yeah, it is.
When I go by, excuse me, Mel, when I go by through Flint Hill area, I'm just 3 miles from Bowling Springs myself, but I can't help but think of him. That he was born and raised right in here and went on to really excel in his gift. And,
He did. And one of the things in our research that has helped me, he had the opportunity to define the voice of an instrument. And you think about that. Lots of people play the piano. Lots of people play the guitar. We got Hank Garland from down at Cowpens, who was a fabulous guitarist. We got Arthur Smith's fabulous. Got Link Ray, who did that guitar rumble over in Raleigh. I mean, all that's important. All that's guitar. But it's like Steve Martin says in our films. He says, when it comes to the banjo, he says, It's like archaeology. It all goes back to Earl Scruggs.
Ooh.
And that's a real powerful statement
Isn't
because
it,
it's
though?
true. It
Yeah.
all goes back to Earl Scruggs.
Wouldn't it be nice if Steve Martin showed up Saturday?
He, yeah, don't hold your breath because we know where he can't come.
Oh,
He wanted to, but that doesn't mean he can't come
Yeah.
sometime.
sometimes.
He's
That's
got to
right.
come see us.
He
Oh,
he
yeah.
probably will.
I'm sure
And-
he will.
and
He
of
will.
course,
He might
will.
slide in and out.
He will. He will.
Of course, they're talking about the famous Steve Martin, comedian, actor,
Oh,
musician,
yeah.
who is quite a musician himself,
He
quite a
plays
banjo
more
player.
clawhammer.
Yeah.
And I really, like I say, I don't really, I sing, but not much for myself. I have a lot of fun, and I love music. It's so inspirational. I think we all know how inspirational it is. But I wasn't familiar with all the styles. But we got some really cool thing in the center called Banjo Breakdown. And it has 3 styles of banjo playing. There's the 2-finger and the clawhammer and the 3-finger. And we filmed it through a clear banjo head. So when you walk up to this interactive, I think it's in the newspaper, it's like you're looking down at your own hand, the back of your own hand, and you can speed it up and slow it down to see how the fingers are plucking which strings. So you can stand there and figure it out. So you can study the differences. And when Steve Martin was learning, he mainly plays clawhammer, was trying to teach himself how to play Earl Scruggs style. He said he would slow down his LP records. He'd put his hand on it to try to hear the individual notes. And that's where we got the idea that if you could, yeah, that's it. Sandy's showing me the picture of the banjo breakdown.
Oh, okay.
But that's good. And I also want to say that when we started out, we said Earl deserves the best, and we do too. We have made an effort to hire the best in the business to make this a national jewel. And we think it's going to be. Our team that put it together, they worked in various projects for the Smithsonian Institution. They've worked on all the presidential libraries but 2. The installers are doing the 9/11 Museum in New York City. I mean, this is top quality. And we've been having a soft opening, having groups come in and test everything and make sure we're greeting greeting the guest appropriately, and so the experience is great. And our executive director, Emily Epley, who is just the sharpest young woman, she lives out in Bowling Springs. But she goes to my church, so don't steal her. Anyway,
Oh, okay.
yeah, she loves music. Sharp young woman, and she holds us to a standard of excellence. So when we open the doors, we want it to be a great experience, and the reaction so far is like, wow, no kidding, this is fabulous. So we're really gratified that that's happening. And we couldn't have done it without the community. The
And
donors.
so what will be the regular hours for
Regular
the center?
hours, great question. We're going to be open 5 days a week. We learned that museums across America are generally closed on Mondays, so that's Monday, and we decided to be closed Tuesday because we wanted to be open Sunday because people do things like this on Sunday afternoon. So we're open Wednesday through Sunday. The hours vary depending on the day. Wednesday is from 10 to 6. The other days are mainly 10 to 4, with Sunday 1 to 5. So it's 30 hours a week. And we will have memberships. You can go online at earlscruggscenter.org, and there's a level of memberships. You're going to want to come back because you can't, there's so much. And my husband, who loves to read, and he goes with me a lot on a lot of these committee meetings. He's not through reading yet, and he's been in there for months. But you're going to want to come back because you can't take it all in. There's so much layered in there, whether it's the Mills, whether it's Max Gardner, the Shelby Dynasty. You're going to love this. We got 3 radios. One's the decade of the 30s, one's the decade of the 40s, and one's the 50s. And you can listen to farm reports. I don't think there's a swap shop on one.
I'll tell you what.
Maybe that was later, but it goes through the 50s.
Okay.
That's fun.
Okay. It sounds wonderful. I'm definitely going to have to check that out.
Absolutely.
I'm not musical. I can't play anything, but over the years, growing up, loved to listen to music, had my favorite singers, and then when I got into radio, wasn't really a job. It was just playing music, DJing was just something I loved to do. And then I love to be where music is being played, though. And around this lady here, Sandy, I've been around her playing the piano. We've had people here in the studio singing and picking and grinning and so forth there, Darren and Brooke. And it just really gives me a thrill to be around those talented people.
It really is, and I learned something. Somebody said, if you can't make the music, you can be the song. You know, because you have to have people to experience it. And a lot of times we don't think that what we have is unique to the world, but what we've got in this region is amazing. The musical heritage is so rich. You have the African traditions. That the banjo is an African, came with the slaves. It is truly a unique American instrument. You have those traditions that formed a lot of basis for gospel. This shape note tradition that started in the early 1800s. We've just got a wealth of music. We don't know it. We really don't know it, but it's ours.
This center will get the word out, and I see the headline "Decade in the Making." So this truly has been. It started in.
The former museum was locked in '04, so that's the decade. Our group got the idea to try to do something about it in '06, and took the year off of '07 and really started fundraising, and that's been a critical component.
Yeah.
We loved people support us. The donors have been wonderful. We've had. It's a unique public-private partnership of funders and volunteers.
And, of course, in this day and age, you have to ask the question, is there a website?
EarlScruggsCenter.org.
EarlScruggsCenter.org.
Or if you're interested in the Don Gibson Theaters, DonGibsonTheater.com.
Okay. So check them out. Check them both. All right. Anything else, ladies?
I've just enjoyed it. It's just been a wealth of information, and I encourage everybody to go. I plan to be there Saturday and go and take a tour through.
And let me make a comment about that if I can. The tour, we have a fire code of 80 people on the first floor, so we're going to have timed entries. So we don't want people to be disappointed if they get turned away. But it's going to be open 5 days a week from now on. So,
okay.
You know, and Saturday we're not charging because we know the experience. There's going to be too many. We're going to control the number. We have to for fire code.
Oh, yeah.
But so don't be disappointed. But come, because it's only going to open once in this celebration. I mean, to say I was on the square when this tribute to Earl was launched, that's going to be a good memory.
Oh, yeah. And to know that you can go any time.
Yes, absolutely.
So I'm looking forward for my time to go.
All right. Thank you very much for being with us today. And Sandy, tomorrow.
Angela Padgett from the Neal Senior Center will be here.
Okay.
And fill us in about what's going on over there. And the next few weeks, Dr. Matt Stover's coming from Lincoln County.
We've been getting some good ideas and good leads for some guests and topics on the program. So keep that coming in to us here, folks. We appreciate all our listeners' input. And
we sure do.
We'll have these shows Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here on
will.
Big O Country and KTCBroadcasting.com. And we thank you for tuning in today, and we hope you'll join us again tomorrow. We'll see you next time.
We're making friends in the morning.
Every morning, I just think you're the best.
Tell your friends about us.
WHS Shelby, WLON Lincoln, WCSL Cherville Gastonia.
Freshness isn't just our job, it's our passion. At Ingalls, freshness is central to everything we do. From the best